Welcome to the Working Class Bowhunter Podcast. It's episode late 580s. We're not really sure. We're losing track. Kurt Geyer speaking.
Doug Schmidt.
Austin Chandler.
Jacob Johnson.
Jacob's traditionally the host of the Victory Drive podcast, our firearm series.
Yeah. Pew-pew. That's me.
Nice.
Here we go.
And our guest of the hour, Mr. Mark Drury's in studio.
What's up, guys?
Thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I'm glad you made it back.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Got to see what we're changing at the studio and what
Looks
we're,
beautiful.
what we're working on.
Looks good.
Thank you. Well, we're glad to have you back in.
Yeah.
We've had an eventful day. We did a Deercast series with Stan Potts right before this. So if anybody listening to that Deercast series or watching the Deercast series on Deercast, which I hope you're doing, go check that one out. So,
Yeah, pretty cool having Stanley on there.
he's the best.
He is. He's
best.
awesome.
He's a legend. I was pretty nervous for that one, honestly. I
I'm
was.
always nervous around Stan.
He's a living legend.
He's awesome.
Mark, what's going on, man? What's new?
Boy, you name it. I mean, it's that time of the year where we're getting ready for fall, so there's a lot of different things going on. Number one, for us, we're still television producers first. So, each week, a lot of editing, a lot of interviews, a lot of proofing. We've also started our semi-live series already this year. So Deer Season 23, we're several episodes into it. And, of course, social media / Deercast. There's just really not a lot of downtime for us anymore. That's before you get to go work on the farms, So
Yeah.
it's just very busy.
It's a ton of work. I don't think a lot of people realize it, especially when you add like the semi-live element to things. It's like
Big time.
got people going right now and getting going. I can't imagine having to like facilitate most of that. But then, even then, like the farm work on top of that, and then like you have to have stuff to film, and then you have to have deer to film. So add all that in on trying to find what deer you're going to target and pattern and building like the stories around them has to add just another element.
The deer hunting's the fun and not easy part, but it's easier than the summer,
Yeah.
It's so enjoyable to go deer hunt every day and try to play that chess match and figure out what buck is where and how to kill them and stuff. So
Right.
it's we're lucky to have the personnel we do in our company. We've got 25 employees that are all top shelf and top of their game, and it takes a village, as they say, and
Yeah.
we've got a good one. We're so blessed with everybody that's part of the Drury Outdoor Squad, and
Yeah.
couple that with the guys that we have out in the woods filming. Our Drury Outdoors team. There's another probably 50 to 60 subcontractors that are out there filming. So it's a big organization. There's a lot of balls in the air, and it's. We're lucky to have them, and you see it in the product. Everybody cares about it, and everybody loves to deer hunt, and they want to entertain people and educate people, and we're blessed to have that group.
Yeah, finding that many people that are that good at what they do, and then let alone finding that many people who want to work nowadays is a whole nother story. So
It's encouraging. You look at like Forrest and Wade and Perry. There's 3 guys. Well, Wade's 30 now, but Forrest and Perry still in their 20s, and they just work like they're never going to have another day to work again. I mean, it's not uncommon for those guys to put in an 80 or 90 hour work week certain times of the year. There's other times where it's a little bit more relaxed, but they're workaholics, and we appreciate and love them so much. They're great at what they do.
yeah, they definitely are, and everybody is just awesome that we've met, from the Drury team. All right, so what's going on right now, deer and farm wise? Like, this episode's going to launch within a 3-week span of recording, but it's all relatively
Yeah. So
in the pocket.
anytime from about the 25th of July through September 1st, we've got all cameras rolling, right? This is the time of year that we have a lot of luck taking inventory. Where it's legal, we put it over analogic supplement gold. That stuff is unbelievable for inventory during the summer. It also adds that health component, which that's the reason I feed it, is I'm trying to make sure that I give them the best chance they can to ward off EHD. So I love analogic supplement gold. In Missouri, we have a couple CWD counties down there, or one, so I can't feed it down there. So our strategy changes in terms of where we put our cameras and the approach. And down there, it's more about trails and, big scrapes that I, have located in the past and mark them out and make sure we go back there, because those bucks, once those antlers are pretty close to development, or really all year, but especially early August when they're about done. And I think they're starting to harden, you know, they'll start to hit those scrapes even with that velvet on. And you get a lot of pictures like that down there. So with Analogic Supplement Gold, we get them pretty quick. In Missouri, it takes, 6 weeks or so to really start getting good pictures.
Okay, I'm glad you kind of laid it out the way you did, because you just described our crew's great divide right now. Doug and Eric have great trail cam pictures. Austin and I in Illinois are kind of like, wish we could supplemental feed. You guys are cool. And ours are natural movement type photos, if we're lucky to get one. A lot, like our farmers are kind of similar. We won't start getting buck pictures for, September or Hardhorn or whatever, but
we feel left out sometimes. But we don't start bumming until October. If we don't have any big ones by October, then we're like, all right, where are they at?
What's going on? And then Doug and Eric and the Iowa boys
Just sending
are
pictures left and right.
are shoveling supplemental feed out for pictures, and it's like, man,
that may be reversed. Theirs may disappear when yours show up, though.
Hey, easy.
Right.
But it's the truth.
Hey, historically, that's how it's worked.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Not to call you out, Doug, but just saying.
You mean Eric?
You've done pretty well. But yeah, I just
The guy that's not here.
yeah.
You gotta pick on
The
the
guy with the newborn.
He just had a
Yeah.
newborn. And cut him some slack, Doug. Just
no slack here.
No slack. But it's velvet. This time of year, bucks are getting like racked out. So everyone's starting to like, all the casuals especially starting to get back in and running their cameras. But I'm feeling that itch, where I'm getting excited. Like who's gonna be the one that I'm gonna like put my efforts into. And I imagine you guys are doing that. Like, so when it comes to getting your trail cam photos and deer, how do you keep track of it all?
I keep them all in my computer, and I've got a program in there, Buckview from Reconics, and I keep every photo. I've kept every rack buck since '07. I mean, I've got them all. So it's a disaster getting in there if you don't know it. I mean, there's so many bucks and so many pictures and so many farms and whatnot. But I'd hate to guess how many photos I have.
I can imagine.
It's a lot.
So does that program like filter out the does from bucks and?
Well, I do that as I take them
you
in
guys.
there, right?
Okay.
There's probably stuff that's more automated now, but I like watching a card. I'm still old fashioned, even with the cell cams. I want that card when we pull that camera, because I want to sit down and watch what happens over a long period of time, to watch the daylight, to watch the movement. And I think you learn how to kill them when you watch a card, in my opinion.
And you never know who's lurking in the background.
Never know who's lurking in the background. Cell images, inherently, the thumbnails are not as clean, And I'm old fashioned. I mean, that's how we've been killing them. And I don't ever want that to stop. I always want that card. In the moment, information is great. However, historical information to me has proven more effective for me. So I want that history. I want that card. And I'm the one that watches them, I mean, I just got to see that information getting laid down and what that deer's doing. Because it's almost like reliving the season in that spot,
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
I think so. Let's just stay on that topic for a minute, like trail cams and organization, because that ultimately leads you to a lot of decisions you make during the season. And I sent you that clip where I was talking about how I overlay the deer cache screenshot over my trail
which is
cam
awesome.
photos.
Awesome.
Which you just need a simple editing phone app to do something simple like that. You just basically, if you get a trail cam photo of a buck that you might want to kill, save that photo and then immediately go to DeerCast, screenshot what's going on in that area weather-wise, and then overlay it. That way when you go back to check, you don't have to jump around and figure out when it was.
I save every single day's deer cast, both in the daily prediction and then in the hourly prediction. I just screenshot it every day. That way, if I need a reference once I do go look at my pictures, I've got it.
And it's just dated through your phone automatically.
Yeah, it's all dated. Well, plus the screen's dated as well.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, so.
Well, yeah, I never thought about that. That's a good point.
Then you got them all, right? And 2 or 3 years from now, you can draw back and go, what was the weather doing exactly that day? When you're looking at pictures or a history of a deer that was 3 then and is now 5 or 6, you can go, what triggered him that day? Why did he daylight on 3 of my cameras? It's helpful. I mean, that's how we put the pieces together for DeerCast, essentially, is looking at historical weather patterns and why they were moving certain days and why they weren't other days. So.
Yeah. No, that's a good tip. Austin, do you do anything like similar to that? I know.
I probably should. I kind of feel like I'm slacking a little bit after listening to you guys, but I never have. I mean, as far as trail camera pictures go, I'll create folders for each farm, and then through the years I keep track of all that. But if it's not a really big, interesting rack buck, the picture gets lost.
You let it slip through.
Yeah, and I don't keep any kind of data as far as the weather goes, so I probably should start doing something like that. It makes sense.
The other thing it does is it helps burn up your off season. Like I'm constantly in my computer. Like you're having a day where, you just got the whitetail bug. It might be, June the 10th, and you're like, I'm thinking about deer. You just go get in that computer and start watching folders, and you learn so much. It's like the playbook for a quarterback. I think they study them.
It's a great notebook from Waterboy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna have that book.
But I dip back into it so many times throughout the year, and then come season, I'm in it every day. It's insane how much time spend looking at that thing.
See, okay, we were talking out at our bar right here before we jumped in here, and you said a few things that made me kind of regret a statement you just made. It's like you kind of only save the big buck pictures and all the smaller buck pictures that you're not really thinking about because it's a whatever buck, and those slip through the cracks. Well, we were talking about a buck one of us have on trail cam. How old do you think it is? It's like, well, look back. If you don't know him, he could be a younger deer that blew up. Mm-hmm. But it's like me, I might not have a lot of them small buck pictures because I'm too lazy to file all of the pictures.
Mm-hmm. See how important the history is, though?
Yeah.
Like every rack buck, keep them. That's what I do. If they're racked, so 2.5s or older, and sometimes, maybe it's 3.5s or older that I'm keeping or whatever. But keep those racked bucks, and you don't have to, you might have a sequence where you got 15 pictures of him. Keep 1 or 2 of them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you've got the event. Mm-hmm. You don't have to keep them all. Mm-hmm. That's what we do, or we'll keep the best photo,
Yeah.
But if you daylighted, dang sure, boy, when they daylight, those are gold. Keep those.
Even at like a 2-year-old buck, daylighting up until,
absolutely.
Man. Can tell you what pictures I probably
We're slacking.
But I will tell you, it is a job. It is unending hours. But truth be told, that's how we're killing a lot of them because of that history and that it's his DNA, his blueprint. It's all you got, right?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, so you're seeing similarities between when they're like 2.5 to when they're 6.5, like when they're daylighting,
home range, where they're at on certain dates. That's what I see a lot. Like, oh, he's here again. These exact dates. I've killed a bunch that way. Like, just going back and looking at his history and putting the pieces together and going, oh man, he daylighted here within a few days, 4 years in a row. Well, where are you going to sit this year? That type of stuff.
Yep.
Yeah,
and it really does. It's how I killed Bucktober. 100% how I killed him.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Oh, I feel like I'm a lazy bones.
Yeah.
Not lazy. I just I'm not. I don't know. I don't know. Didn't think about it. I guess straight. Just to be honest, So yeah, every buck that daylights now, there's a lot of deer that 2-year-old deer that I just don't add to like my favorites folder for the year, and I always make like a deer 22, deer 23 folder, and I'm gonna start doing that with every rackable buck. That's
you really need the spot detailed as well. Don't put them all in the same. You want like the new farm food plot plus the old farm. I don't know, all your different names. Make sure you catalog them that way. Honestly, that Buckview from Reconics is the best program I've seen for it. It's insane how well it's laid out.
Okay,
it's perfect.
Well, dang, that's I just did a lazy version of that, of kind of what you're saying for organization, but it goes to show you like how important it can be, especially if you're putting effort into passing deer.
That program now will allow you to like create a file on a buck and try to find out where he's at. But I just want all of it in there to where then I can go watch it in fast speed, slow speed, whatever. You can find it real quick, and it's pretty amazing.
I just get so nervous because I hunt predominantly public land, so it's like I'm not leaving my cameras up all year round out there and really honing in on certain areas. And I put up a camera last year and had it sitting out and was kind of stoked, and I was super stoked for it. Then fucking Drury show came through and put a huge ass oak tree right in front of it. I'm like, well, there goes that fucking intel. But
the whole year go down the drain.
Dude, it fell down like 2 days after I put it up.
That
sucked.
Yeah, that does
I'm like,
suck.
What are the chances, right?
Pretty good.
Pretty good for a trail cam.
When there's a Drury show, pretty good.
Yeah.
You should go through all the crap that can happen with a cell cam or any cam. Like, it's amazing how many ways they can fail, or it's amazing how many ways they can break your heart.
Oh,
Right.
for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
Cold beer never broke my heart. My trail cam breaks my heart all the time.
all the time.
Oh yeah.
Battery's dead. Card corrupt.
You forgot to do something
Yeah,
to it. You know?
hung it upside down hurriedly.
Yeah.
I mean, squirrel knocks it off.
Raccoon sat on it.
You didn't cut that one twig, and
Yeah.
you got 1,000 pictures of a
Oh
tail.
yeah.
Spider web over the lens.
Spider. Yeah.
Fog every morning over the
Yeah.
lens.
Yep.
The sun.
Oh crap! It's pointed west.
Yeah. You put
Every evening is nothing but sun out. I mean,
it's hitting the ground pretty much the whole time.
yeah,
Dude.
There's so many ways for them to break your heart.
I just had a coyote spin mine on the tree. It was the middle of the day. It was yesterday. It was hotter than hell out. And my camera's going off midday. I'm like, what is going on? And I see like the motion blur, and then it's all pointed at the ground, and then coyote running. And I'm like, son of a bitch. So anyway, I got to go fix that.
I had a raccoon turn mine upside down.
It's at my farthest away property.
Yeah.
The hardest to get to spot. I didn't plan on
course
going
it
back
is.
in there until I was going to sit it and grab that camera.
Of course it is.
And so now I got to go back in there, and I've got 14 pictures of squirrels this morning on that camera eating whatever they're eating.
Yeah.
So,
Fuck yeah.
yeah. Hell yeah. So, yeah, they can break your heart, but they're such a great tool.
Oh, they're a great
But
tool. They're a great tool.
The organization part is a fun topic of conversation. I was going to go somewhere with that, but it slipped my mind. We were thinking about frustrations. I'll see what that damn coyote got me again. I don't remember what the hell I was going to bring up. It was good, though, I promise.
I have no doubt.
It was good.
You'll have to
know
wait
it's-
till the next episode.
Oh,
yeah,
there you go, yeah.
right. I know, everyone.
Part 2.
Hold on to your belt.
Kurt remembers.
Yeah, man, I remember. I don't know what did that to my brain. I think my hard drive's full. But it is. But besides
Oh, yeah.
trail camera, like inventory and seeing like who's around, what else is going on right now?
Plot
for-
prep,
Plot prep.
plot prep, like, and the two go hand in hand. Like, so I've already got files built for all the deer that I think could be targets this year.
Okay.
And we're looking for those deer specifically, the biggest, oldest deer. And if they show back up, if they're a deer that we've historically had during the summer, once they show up, that food plot strategy might be A. If he doesn't show back up, you go, well, we might have lost him in the off season or something.
Yeah.
Or if he shows back up and he's got a wacky side or something's wrong with him, that happens a lot too. Then that's a food plot strategy B. So
Gotcha.
we're trying to get those pictures and then making last minute preparation for what are we planting where, what rotation did we go through? Are we going green to green transfer with soybeans to like a deer radish, or are we going a hidden little hidey hole where we cut out part of the cornfield? And if we're going to, did we spray the right chemicals to make sure that what we're planting can come up and the residual doesn't take it out? So
Yeah.
there's a lot of thought you got to put through based on the plan that you're going after certain individual shooters. So it's just a lot of, it's always a think tank. Myself, Wade and Perry, I mean, we're constantly communicating, constantly texting, constantly, have a thought, boom, throw it out there, and then that leads to 10 other thoughts.
How many
And,
arguments arise from that think tank?
not really too many.
Really?
We're generally on the same page. I don't think we are. Wade and Perry argue back and forth.
I bet they do.
I don't argue with them. I mean,
You
just
guys
let
argue,
us-
we're going to do this.
It don't matter what you're arguing about because this is what we're doing.
yeah, they argue, but I don't argue.
Yeah. Okay.
So, Mark, when you see a deer like that and you're building a plot for that specific deer, a lot of time are you just trying to like put in a food source that you've had years prior that he prefers? Or do you look at him and say, man, this deer is like, we see him more in December, so we're going to put a food source that's more preferable late season? What are you looking at when you see a buck like that?
Yeah, exactly. Like, so you look at the buck and look what you've seen him eating a lot before, and when is he on you? And that answers your question right there. Is this a buck that I only had in October? Like Wade's deer last year that he killed, that deer left October 11th, 12th, or 13th every year that we had him. Wade killed him at age 6 last year, if I'm not mistaken. And when he was 4 and 5, he'd leave early October. So we're like, the number one place we get him is in this bottom field and up on that ridge. The best thing to kill him over would be deer radishes in early October, because that's when we got him. And that's what we planted in both places. And he encountered him in one and killed him in another. And it was October. That was right up against the date when he normally leaves. So the plan worked, So
Makes
You
a
knew
lot
you were
of
on the
great
clock.
example of
Yeah.
what you're asking.
Makes a lot
Yeah.
of sense if you're building a plot for a specific deer. Look at the history of
The
that deer
history.
and what they've been doing and build the food for them.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is all tying in.
to that history and that process, and that's that off season putting it together. It's also that deer looked like a normal 8-point, and all of a sudden last year we got his picture and he had blown up. He went from 152 inches to 188 in 1 year.
That's the
just
buck
a standard 8-point, blew up, and we were like, whoa. Number one shooter, we gotta change the plan here, boys, and we did. As soon as we got his picture, we're like, "What is he doing?" Plus, he leaves, and we knew all that because of that history. So,
right.
It was, I don't know, it's kind of like maybe the offensive coordinator that's up in the booth watching over everything. Like we got to adjust to the defense or whatever, and that's kind of what you're doing is just adjusting to try and optimize your chances of killing a deer.
Yeah,
that's a great analogy.
Next level
really
stuff
good.
right there.
I really want to see that buck that Wade killed because it reminds me of my dad's buck we call the Geyer buck.
Yeah, for
just
sure.
a big like mainframe 8 with some junk and stuff.
Yeah.
It was that's what that deer. I like that deer so much because of that reason. So I mean to bring the Geyer buck, and next time I come out, I'll bring it with and see if he can bring that deer and kind of just put them next to each other. You know what I mean? So
the other cool thing about that deer was we were racing a clock, right?
Yeah.
The sand was going through the hourglass because we knew he was going to leave, or at least we felt like we did. So we were taking chances on wind direction.
I remember that. In that hunt.
You know, like got to push it a little bit here because he's about to leave.
Just to get your hunt in on him.
Just to take your shot.
Yeah.
Take your shot. If that was a homeboy, zero chance he hunts either of those spots the night he saw him and the night he killed him.
Yeah.
Zero chance. If he's a deer that's there the whole fall, we're like, no, the wind's pushing it. No, we're not going in.
Not worth risking.
No,
Bumping
we wait for perfect wind, perfect conditions on a homeboy. But a deer that's leaving, better get in there.
That makes it like pretty exciting. Like it's like a high tense like situation or high risk.
Yeah, like we're running out of
situation.
time. Like
high risk.
Yeah.
They're defusing the bomb. The fucking clock's ticking
It's
down. He's
clicking
like,
down. It's that. It's that.
I'm going with the red wire.
Yeah, it's like it worked.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what it is. Okay. This is something that I think we're going through, our crew. Deer in velvet right now. The Iowa boys are getting all their giants on camera. We don't have any trail cam pictures. And when the buck loses his velvet, things change.
The brain cells develop.
The brain cells develop.
Jerry Shively, Montana. He told me that back in the 90s.
That's so good.
When the velvet comes off, the brain cells develop. I never forgot that. He said that, and I paused, and I was like, that's good. I've used it ever since, but I give him credit every time I say it.
That's good. Yeah, they go from one of the boys, they're all bachelored up, just broing it up, to just critical thinking.
This is my house now.
Yeah, they go from spitting and throwing rocks like frat party to their job. They just started a job.
Yep.
Okay, so how many of the deer that you kind of have in your like scope of like your whatever you say pattern ability, how many of those deer will completely just like 180 their movement or change it up to where you're like, oh, what happened?
No, most of them.
Most?
I mean, they all do. Yeah. So there's certain deer, like I get their pictures and he's a giant, and I'll look at him and go, we're not going to kill that deer because I know that he leaves before the season, or I know that he never daylights on me. He's always at night. Now, there's always a chance.
Yeah.
But there's certain deer where I go, he's dead, just because the history is daylight and he's here a lot and he comes past this stand, that type of stuff. So there's certain deer where we're like, we're killing him. And there's other deer we're like, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, that's
It's
interesting.
tough.
It's always exciting.
And again, it goes back to that history,
Right, yeah, you that's really just all where it stems from. So it's just like, really, if you want to be consistent or having a pattern, you just need to get more meticulous in your
And more cameras, more pictures, more history, more studying of them. But I'm telling you, it is a time consuming. I'd hate to guess how many hours I've spent looking at that computer. I would hate to guess. I mean, it is an insane amount of time.
But that's fun though too. Like it's a lot of work, but you enjoy it.
Yeah, it's got to feel good though when it all comes together.
When it comes together, it does. But I've reached a period where I almost dread sitting down to it. I've looked at it so much, like I have burnt myself out just a little bit. Like it's a little over the top. I've got 200 plus cameras across the 3 states, and
Holy fuck.
I look at 1.5 million.
I thought 20 was a lot.
I got 4.
I look at 1.5 million to 2 million photos, many of them twice, because we see the cell reports come in. Then at the end of the season, I will look at them all again. So it's 1.5 million, 2 million photos a year. Plus, I'd hate to guess how many times I'm looking at ones that are already in the computer. I'm not even counting those those looks. So
Yeah.
it did burn me out.
I bet it did. Yeah, I mean, you do that.
Need to hire a guy just to do that.
Well, but then you wouldn't have the information though.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and
right. You'd
plus
be
people don't
disconnected.
understand the code.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Oh,
you're,
yeah.
you're downloading it to the wrong hard drive, dude.
Oh,
Yeah.
So
That's why you can.
to my hard drive.
That's why you'll never be Mark Drury, Doug.
Oh yeah, you're right. My
It's-
bad.
I'll just give you what you need, Mark.
It's how we kill them, and Terry's the same way. He's very analytical with his pictures as well. So
Yeah.
that's how we're killing them.
Well, it does make, of course, right? Anyone you talk to that's like a consistent big buck killer, they're kind of, things are laid out and they're on top of it for the most part. Whether it's that detailed or not, it's, the details are there and the commitment is there and the motivation's there. Kind of like what we talked with Stan. And we've talked about before, it's like, this is a funny joke I like to make about it, but normally you meet a big buck killer and you hang around him. Normally he's on top of the ball. He's doing good in his career, things in life. His wife's normally attractive or really cool. It's a pattern, man. Like it just is. But you're like, all right, it makes sense that you are on top of the big buck killing because you kind of are in control of situations in your life as much as you can be. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. I think.
Yeah.
Maybe without being too crude. Mm-hmm. With my weird statement I just made there, but
You kill big bucks, you got a hot wife, probably.
That's what I took out of that.
I mean,
That's all I gathered.
essentially I could have just said that and cut out all the rigmarole.
If you're smart enough to figure out all the hard things in life, when you whitetail hunt, you've probably figured out a thing or two in that game too.
Yeah.
Thank you, Austin.
There you go.
That's what I meant to
You
say.
can figure out a hot chick.
You got
can
your
figure
shit
out-
together, right?
You got
You
your
got your
shit
shit
together.
together.
Excuse me, your boy's eating healthy, and my brain and body is not. I'm a little cloudy. Okay, I'm working on clearing it up.
You haven't acclimated
I
yet.
haven't acclimated. My body's like, oh, what is this?
I don't like this.
Yeah, I don't like this.
Put some grease in here.
Yeah, that's what my body's going through. Okay, so going in, we're talking about the inventory is like, that's such a big thing. We could do a bunch of podcasts on that, but everything's coming back to basically categorizing your inventory and paying attention to it.
Yeah, inventory. I always term summer pictures as inventory. Like who's here, who's alive, who grew, who went backwards, that type of stuff. But then it's really about the data that you're laying down in the moment once the season starts. So summer to me is inventory. The rest is all just history and data, and
Yeah.
that's how you kill them. It all adds up.
So okay, then
It's kind of like to me, I always say it's like analytics in baseball. It's like Moneyball. I don't know if you ever watched that movie, right? When the A's were the first ones to start, everything was analytically driven. If you throw a cutter to this batter in a 3-2 count, low and outside, he's going to swing 70% of the time, right? So
A numbers game.
It's a numbers game. So you're trying to increase your odds of having success on any single hunt.
Yeah.
So that's what we try to do is optimize. Like if we're going in, we better have a plan, and if we don't have a plan, let's not go in at all. So
Yeah.
there's a strategy and a structure to every move we make every single day, every morning, every evening, whether it be access or the stand or anything else. And it's all based on history and data, whether it be in the moment through a cell cam report or whether it be something historical or the combination of the two.
I love that because I feel like so many people just think you're just going hunting. Well, and people who know better, right? Like people who are dedicated more of their time and experience and learning know better. But I think blanket term, the majority might just think you're going out and seeing the deer you're seeing just because you have the farm.
Yeah, and it may appear that way. Some of that might be our, own fault because but it's hard to portray on video 4 hours of looking for pictures in a computer in my bedroom with falling asleep with the screen hitting me in the back.
In your underwear.
Yeah, exactly. And I can't tell you how many times that screen has gashed me right here because I got it on a pillow and I'm looking and dozing off because you're tired. And bam, wake me up. Oh man, okay, back to it. But
Yeah.
you can't portray that stuff in video. So we try to show the whole stories, but sometimes it's tough. But it's boy, it's so important.
Well, let's be honest. Most of those people that are going to say that are only going to watch the shot or just
Yeah.
that. They're not going to. I mean, I'm sure most people do follow the season, but the people who are going, first people to make those comments, didn't watch all the extra stuff and just saw the convenient part for them to make a shitty comment. But
Well, I mean, there's
People make shitty comments on our stuff.
turns out,
You're kidding.
Turns out, Mark, I don't know if
Believe
you've
it or
been on
not.
the internet
Yeah,
lately.
Believe it or not.
Maybe that's why I don't read the comments.
You don't read them?
I do, of course.
of course I do.
I'm joking. It's tongue in cheek.
This is a great time to tell a quick story. Nick Morris is in here. I love that guy.
Yeah, Nick's great. He's awesome.
Him and I are like cut from the same cloth. I
Yeah.
didn't realize how much I have in common with him. He came in here to do a Deercast podcast. He just showed up. He's like committed. If we're doing one, I'm coming to you, man. We're gonna hang out and I'm gonna sit with you face to face. We're gonna record. I'm like, that's pretty cool. So we drink like 7 beers on accident. And I'm like, hey, we should probably go record a podcast, huh? And I just love that guy. And he said that you had to say something to him about getting in the comments and commenting back.
Yeah, he's such a team player. And
He's the bulldog.
all of a sudden, our social teams, they're like, who is this Nick guy? He's just railing on every negative comment. And we're like, huh. So we start looking at it, and I think somebody goes, I think that could be Nick Morris, you know? So I call him. I go, Nick, have you been on YouTube lately this week? Yeah, those no good, you know. He goes, I get tired of them people saying that crap. They don't know, blah, blah, blah. We're like, man,
I love it.
tone it down a little bit, man.
Bring it back. Bring it back.
That's
I love
hilarious.
it because it's just like his attitude. It's just like he's ride or die for the people he loves.
Absolutely. Well, he was letting them have it, man.
I believe it.
That's awesome.
Same guy through every post, every
that you?
negative
Hell yeah,
comment.
it is.
He'd go hammer him.
I love it. Yeah, he told me that.
Team
And
player.
after I hung out with him at your place a couple of times, actually like spending one-on-one time with him. I'm like, yeah, you're one of the boys. You know, he's one of the boys.
And his wife's the same way. He and Drew are just two of our favorite people. They're wonderful.
They're great. I love them both, man.
Did he tell you how we met?
Yeah, you guys were neighbors.
No. Well, yes, we were neighbors, but he bought a farm from me. Like I had bought
Oh
this.
yeah, you bought it. Okay, yeah.
I had bought a farm, and we hunted it that fall. And it was great. There were big deer on it, but geographically, it was a little bit too far. We weren't going there very much. Plus, it was a pain in the rear to get all the equipment there, get it planted and whatnot. And I was like, this is probably not the smartest farm purchase I've ever made. And it was 120 acres. It wasn't a big farm, but the whole thing was timber. And we built 2 new plots in it. We did a big piece on it on YouTube, and it did well. We killed a deer there. I think Wade's wife, Kyle, killed a deer there that fall. But that spring, I think it was like February, March, a buddy of mine said, hey, there's a guy asking about the farm you bought at the lumberyard. Here's his number. Call him. Mm-hmm. So I called him, and I said, hey, buddy of mine said you want to talk to me about that farm. And in 5 minutes, he said, I'm buying it from you if you'll sell it. I said, I'll sell it. He goes, how much you want? I said, what I'd take. I said, but I really love the turkey on it. He goes, you can turkey on it all you want, and you can turkey at my place if you want. This is all in 5 minutes.
Jeez. Wheeling and dealing.
I go,
What's it?
okay.
Yeah. He goes, but you really need to come over and have breakfast with me and my wife sometime. So I went and had breakfast with he and Drew. And we didn't write a contract. We shook hands the way it ought to be, honestly.
The way it ought to be, yeah.
She cooked breakfast, and we've just been very close friends ever since, you know.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
That's
Dude,
awesome.
he is a very
They're going on the cruise, too.
Well, I'll talk to my wife, Mark. Actually, you know what? You want to just call my wife directly and just be like, "Hey,
Yeah,
Sam,
call
listen."
after this.
Yeah.
You should call her.
Well, just do it
Put her
on
on
the
right
just do it
now.
on the podcast.
Yeah.
Then she can't turn you
I
down.
don't
Oh,
need
there you
that.
go.
I don't need that. I don't need that.
You asshole.
Yeah,
Can't
yeah.
believe you did this.
I don't need that. My wife she gets it, but no, I do love them. I had to
They're
take
great.
that negative comment moment. Nick's one of the boys. Like he's the long lost host of WCB. Like he could just walk in
And
here.
boy, what a great outdoorsman he is. Comes from the Southeast. What a great parents they are to their children, and
Family man.
and what a fisherman he is. I don't know if you got into fishing or not, but that dude could be on tour.
We're gonna get him on our fishing podcast
Good.
and some of his buddies.
He
so.
knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, I love that guy. Well, one thing I wanted to get to this. Shout out to Nick if you'll hear this. Hopefully, I think he will. His wife will at least because she manages. Basically, if you want to get to Nick, you have to get through his wife because he doesn't do the internet.
No, he doesn't.
which is great unless he's
Except
going to
for
make hate
YouTube
comments on
comments.
you.
I was just saying, is it because you chewed his ass or something? And he's like, fine, fuck the internet.
He's busy, a lot of times. Yesterday, we had a team meeting with all the Drury Outdoors team members. And I noticed it was Drew on and not Nicker
Oh, yeah.
or Mason. So I was like,
Hell yeah.
that's awesome.
It is awesome.
Yeah.
Dude, he's a cool dude. He's a dying breed of human. Like it's just
He is.
if you go out with him, if someone's gonna cause trouble, you want Nick with you.
Yeah.
like he's gonna take. Everybody's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
All right, shout out to Nick and his wife. Let's talk about this. You mentioned something green to green transfer, and we kind of got into that transition when the velvet comes off. What changes? And green to green transfer is something I didn't pay attention to really until like the last 4 years, probably. And I know we probably talked about it before with you on a podcast, but I think it's worth bringing up again because that's one of the next steps really after October 1st, when you say like coming in like the big.
Sure, September 15th in Missouri, but it really occurs in and around the 25th of September, plus or minus a few days, depending on when a bean field was put in. But so many bucks here in the Midwest and throughout the country are on those beans all summer, particularly in August and into September. And then all of a sudden they start to turn, and then they defoliate, and they go from so palatable to nothing. Well, those deer still are desiring that green food source. So they might shift to alfalfa. They could shift to clover. Or maybe they shift to a giant green field that you've planted, and if you get lucky and get rain, it comes up and it's real palatable about the time those leaves defoliate and fall off, and then you got this giant radish field sitting there. I mean, they're in trouble.
You'll be all over it.
They're in trouble.
I love that, and I know there's so much we've talked about together between WCB and Drury, but that's another thing is like just the hunting terminology you guys have crowned.
That was one we crowned for sure. 100%,
Yeah. Sweet November, we go on and on.
We crowned that one. Rage in the Cage.
Yes, without a doubt. I mean,
Jay
those
Giles
you
band.
guys?
That was ours,
Oh,
100%.
you didn't know that?
No.
Rage in the Cage.
I didn't know that. I just
That
thought
goes back to when I was in high school. Jay Giles band. That was their song. It was a very popular song, and we started shooting Rage from day one. And I said it the first year. I was like, Rage in the Cage, baby.
Makes sense.
All because of Jay Giles band.
Dude,
That's badass.
Yeah.
That's a $1
sick.
million saying.
Oh,
right there,
yeah, for
tagline.
sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, geez, Rage has to be like, thank you, Mark, for that one. That's how everybody knows Rage.
God
That is
dang.
true.
Yeah. Right.
You know, if someone's shooting Rage,
Do you
you're
know
like,
the song?
No, I don't.
You'll have to look it up. It's a
Okay.
badass song.
I wish I
After
could
this, we'll
play
have
it.
to hear
I'll
it.
listen to it.
Yeah.
If I'd play it,
Yeah,
we'd get pinged.
You
But-
get in trouble.
yeah,
Yeah.
get in trouble. Damn internet. We need that Joe Rogan contract so we can play whatever we want. But
It'll probably sound better on the sound system out there, anyways.
yeah, we'll play
Yeah.
it.
Check it out.
Yeah.
It's fun.
But this. But you guys have basically taken very important transitions or times in the hunting season. Phases. Let's
There
just
you
go
go.
with
Yeah,
that.
the phases.
Yeah.
And you guys have basically structured it in to where like the average person that hasn't put the time in that you guys have, and kind of makes it more understandable.
That's how we laid Deercast out too, you
Yep.
know, to try and help people understand it a little bit better. You know, we didn't want Deercast to just be a predictive model. We wanted it to teach.
Yeah.
And if you really dive in deeper than the daily prediction and you go into all the videos and all the explanations, it really is a teaching app to where it will help you understand why we're calling this phase 5 or phase 7, and why the deer are acting differently today than they did a week ago, and we give those explanations in there, and it's a great way to learn more about the species and the resource.
Well, I'll say for I know we were talking about outside too. My first year bow hunting, I didn't know if I was gonna love bow hunting or not, so I didn't do
Bow
it.
hunting's for felons.
Yeah, bow
yeah.
hunting's for felons, and I'm not a felon, so I'm like, hey. But
Not for me.
my first year bow hunting, my buddy talked me into going out. So we went out, and I didn't know if I'd like it, so I didn't put any effort into learning anything. So I went out and I shot a buck. I'm like, okay, that was pretty fucking sweet. Then the next,
I thought I cussed a lot. Jacob cusses a lot.
sorry, I'll tone it down. But no, so I thought it was pretty cool. And the next year, I started watching like 13, and that's when I got Deercast. And I'll tell you what, that was watching all of the 13 episodes and going back on Deercast and trying to apply some of that stuff. Because like I said, I hunt pretty much public land, but even being mostly public land and some permission pieces, like that, all the knowledge on there has helped me out like exponentially. It's
Awesome, brother.
Insane.
Awesome.
So,
That is
yeah, it was
great to
awesome.
hear.
Yep. I just want to throw that out there.
Thank you.
It is a bummer.
Yeah.
I mean, we're biased a little, but we believe in Deercast. It's a bummer when you talk to someone and they don't have it, but like they're also asking you questions that
Would easily be
it's just
answered
that
on
right there.
Deercast.
It's like, man, you really need to check this out. You know what I mean? It's like, and it's not that I don't want that to sound salesy, but like we use it.
Well, do yourself a favor and try it.
Well, that too. It's like we've also been preaching right in the day and age of right now, where everything sucks on social media. hunters are getting demonetized. You can't post anything. You can't communicate with like-minded people. You can do that on DeerCast.
Yep. And we got the news feed in there as well, you know.
Right.
There's a place where you can go say what you want and, you know, talk about how you feel, and nobody's going to, you know, censor it.
You're right.
It's there for us hunters.
It's a big deal. It's going to become more and more of a big deal as things go on. I thought our TikTok got deleted the other day. I went on, everything was
We
zeroed.
deleted our own. I finally got
figured.
tired of that.
Yeah.
Because I tried to tag you guys a couple stuff. I'm like, oh, after Taylor's debacle.
Yeah.
Because Taylor got demonetized.
Taylor's debacle. Then we did a piece on shed hunting, and they got us for, you know, cruel whatever to animals. Yeah, we were carrying
the
sheds,
sheds?
so they thought we had, you know, ripped them off or whatever. I don't know what they thought, but they flagged us on that. That one, I said, just pull the whole damn thing. I said, I want off this app as quickly as we can get off the app.
My guy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
being
smart.
Idiotic. It's
Yeah.
stupid. It's dumb.
being gun stuff, it's been tough.
Well,
You know,
yeah, I mean,
it's been tough.
everything's censoring guns.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
what
Yeah,
we
pretty-
won't,
really post
Deercast.
anything.
Come right in there, buddy. I promise you,
No,
we
I
won't
will.
censor you.
Yeah, we're gonna get Victory Drive somehow, and that anything we can do to get Victory Drive involved, Deercast would be awesome.
Yeah, come on.
That would be awesome because I mean, we put up a TikTok when I first started doing Victory Drive, and my account got shut down for like 30 days. It was just me shooting in the backyard, like, hey, cool. And it was probably because I was shooting suppressors, but
Yeah.
they're like, oh nope, 30-day ban. Like,
Yeah,
what
but
the-
TikTok's
that's crazy.
Chinese ran. They don't
Yeah.
know what any of that is.
But
It
even with Instagram, it's like, I mean,
It
they
wasn't
talk about
just a
being shadow
suppressor.
banned. And,
was a
Like-
gun in general.
Taylor had an encounter with an elk, and there was a really screaming bull, a big one. And one part of the screen, her bow creeps into it, and they demonetized her, kicked her off the app because that bow was in there.
what?
So, and it
Wow.
was at 21 million views in like a month.
Oh my,
my
gosh!
gosh.
Mm-hmm.
I can imagine what that made. You know, just being monetized.
Well, she was up to several $1,000s, but she didn't get any of it.
No,
robbed
They pulled.
They just pulled it.
They pulled it and then pulled money.
Yeah.
right? So,
Oh, yeah.
They probably pulled it for the money wise.
Oh, no, they're just
I've seen
get off TikTok. Get off
Yeah,
TikTok.
it's
New
crazy.
subject.
crazy the
New
stuff you
subject.
see on
New
TikTok,
subject.
but a
Yeah.
bow gets in there and they're like, oh, nope.
I mean,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah,
Those aren't our people.
They're
Yeah.
not. our
They're
people.
not.
Deercast is our people.
I was
So
gonna say, I'm spending more and more time on Deercast.
I will
Right
say
on,
on
brother.
Deercast,
pretty
it's
awesome.
crazy. You be hunting, 10, 15 years, then you go on Deercast and you learn something new. It's just like, it blows your mind.
That's awesome.
well, it lays it out for you.
Yeah, it's simple and yeah.
Well, I like about it. I feel like I'm fairly indecisive, and it helps me stick to a game plan. Because you look at the forecast and you're looking at wind, and you're like, okay, this boxes this out. Okay, make your game plan. It just helps me stick to what I probably should be doing anyway, even though I'm like questioning my own brain. I can kind of use that as like
Could be your hunting buddy.
my hunting buddy.
Yeah.
Right. You
It's
know,
one of those days where like you're looking for a reason not to go hunt because you're just having a bad day or something. And then like Deer Guy's like, no, you need to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. I know what you
That's
mean.
great. Dang.
Well, it's also a good way to get out of like
Fantastic.
things you don't want to do anywhere else.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
Deercast can be your tool. Like some guy that doesn't hunt invites you to his wedding, and it's November 5th, and you're just like,
Just send him a screenshot of the
Yeah.
Eddie
Look,
in the
dude.
stand.
Sorry,
you don't have
brother.
Deercast? Should have downloaded Deercast. I mean,
It happened to me last year. That's when I killed that buck.
oh yeah,
Skipped out on something. That,
October 8th.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yep.
I killed mine on the 8th as well because of Deercast.
Yeah. Yep. Went out there because of that, and I skipped something that was mildly important. And I'm like, well, sorry, but it wasn't that important. So and I had to travel far ways to get there. So I'm like, I really don't want to do that. I'm gonna head south.
Last October was interesting because we had more cold fronts than I can remember for a while in October.
That they're cold October winds are rough on whitetails.
Yeah.
We did a chapter in our book. I don't know when we wrote that book, 20 plus years ago, and one of the chapters was a cold October wind, and we talked about how magical those cold, because they're rare, right?
Yeah.
But when you get a really cold October, they're all dead. I mean, they're in trouble because they're on food heavy, and they're starting to think about does. They're not with the does yet, and cold weather daylights them. I mean, that's a killer. Do not miss cold October winds.
What would be like a significant enough change where you're like, that's the move right there?
I always look at daytime average for a high. And if the average high is, call it 64, and you start getting 10, 12, 15 degrees off that normal average high, you're going to start seeing some deer.
Yeah.
Or if you get a big, 15, 20 degree drop from Wednesday to Friday, and it's dropping through Thursday, and the barometer's starting to rise. Thursday, Friday, Saturday are all going to be good. And that's the other thing. Like when you get a cold front in October, you'll get a string of days that are good. It's not just one or two.
The day, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That I feel like that's something that I picked up big time from you guys and DeerCast is like capitalizing on October cold fronts, and that's what I've done successfully the last 3-4 years.
You've been on a roll.
I've been on October roll on those cold fronts.
That's the time to kill them, man.
Yeah. I mean, it never used to be on my brain for that because I wasn't on the ball like I should have been, or my experience hadn't got me to that point. So I don't know if it's my fault or just whatever. But October 8th, we both killed.
That was wild.
Looking at the weather.
That's a really cold evening too.
Oh, it was a wonderful evening.
Yeah, for that.
Went from wasn't it almost 70, and then it just dropped. It dropped 15 to almost 20 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
And then my biggest buck, I texted you after I shot him, Mark, in 21. I killed him on like the 20th or 21st. It was another big cold front. It just worked out how it should have.
Mm-hmm.
Will you hunt mornings on those cold fronts in October, or you stick to afternoons?
On those high pressure ones, if I'm on a particular shooter and I feel like I know where he's bedding, then yes. But if I'm on an afternoon strategy for a deer, I probably won't go hunting because I don't want to disturb his bedroom. So it really depends on the deer and the situation and what the weather's like. If you want some of the best movement of the whole year, the first morning that the wind's steady out of the north with speed, like the cold morning, like it's getting here that day.
Yeah.
That morning they're going to move. Just about every deer in the herd will move that morning. But you got to have the right wind and the right access. And I'm not talking about a light little front where it drops 2 or 3 degrees. I'm talking about a 15-degree drop and that wind's galing out of the northwest. You think, man, it's a little windy this morning. Man, they're moving.
Significant.
And they'll be on acorns. If you've got an acorn crop, get in on them. You'll kill them.
Okay, that's a big tip right there.
Oh, yeah.
That's an awesome
Something
tip
you
there.
mentioned.
Because they're not going to be on your food plot. They're going to be in cover, but they're moving like crazy.
Right.
No kidding.
Right.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good
I
one.
never even thought about that.
Never miss the first north wind of a major front in the month of October, regardless of date, provided you've got a good place to go,
Right. Yeah, that fits that. You mentioned something we were talking to Stan about the day you've killed, it was been a southeast wind.
November 9th.
November 9th. What do you think it is with that wind? Like, or is it just the spot?
If you watch a cold front come through, and then I always talk about the first south after a period of norths.
Yep.
It's oftentimes, especially if it's high pressure, it will come out of the south to southeast. And if you get that morning where it's pressure above 30, call it 30.15 to 30.3, high pressure, frost, and it's calm at first, and then the wind starts getting up, and that's the period of the day that the thermals are rising, and then the warm wind is starting to warm things up. Every deer in the herd's on their feet. 7:30 to 10 o'clock, unbelievable.
Do you have any idea why? I guess I know you're not a deer, but
It's pretty close.
My personal feeling is
the closest we know.
I think it's similar to us. That high pressure day, you're in a good mood, you're smiling, you got a skip in your step, you feel good, you've been in the cold, you've been a little cold when you go outside, and all of a sudden, I don't need that jacket anymore, you feel a little bit better. I think it's mammals and they just feel better. Everything's moving.
That's true. Yeah, even the birds and everything
Everything's
else.
moving.
Yep.
Such a good way to picture that. Because we know those days.
Yeah.
And you go out and you're like, nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful day.
And sometimes those cold front days, like, they all move, but it's straight line to the food, and that's all they do. Those warm days are much more likely to lollygag and browse and go this way and go that way, whereas those cold front days, I need the urge to feed, survival.
Right.
Yeah.
Then the day that they feel good, that high pressure south wind, they're just walking because they feel good. Watch.
Where's the party at?
Playing hopscotch.
Yeah. I live in West Des Moines, not during the season, but you can just about tell how many people are going to be walking on the trails based on the weather.
Yep. Makes sense.
How many people are out hiking? When all the granolas are out, the deer are moving.
Yeah, you need to get a stand. If you've seen a bunch of Subarus, get out in the stand.
I always hear the old time farmer reference: if the cattle are up feeding, the deer will be up feeding. Have you ever put much thought
I
into that?
tried to watch that. My grandpa used to talk about that. And one thing's for sure, like if it's a cold front and they're all feeding of an evening, chances are the deer are going to be as well. But
Yeah.
other than that, it's a bit random.
Yeah, I always try to look. It's like they're in that. They're not going anywhere. They're in that pasture. They're bored.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, this doesn't apply. But it's one of those old farmer things.
Sure.
That I think that in the Midwest you hear often.
Yeah. But if you watch cattle on big cold fronts, they'll all be vocal. They're all up, feeding and stuff, and it generally coincides with deer movement as well.
Yeah.
Do you find that deer are more like, can you call to them easier on those cold front stuff too?
Absolutely. Because they're more likely to come if they're in a good mood and they're up walking already.
Hey, what's
those
that
are the
over
days
there?
to call.
Okay.
Yeah.
Big time. Yeah, your calling's gonna increase. We talk about that in 13 and in Deercast. On those great days, your chances are much better of seeing a deer ready to respond because he's in the right mood to do so.
Well, I mean, like on the cold front days versus like the warm front days.
It'll vary on deer.
Okay.
Like that big old deer, he's already thinking about those does. He could come into a call, but like a year and a half old or a 2-year-old scared to death going out there to eat, chilly, cold, they're going to have a different response to it than a big mature buck.
Sure. Okay.
They're just different. When they get to 5, 6, 7 years old, they act different, they walk different, they do things differently than every other deer in the herd.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I feel like hunting, when you break it down like this, like personality type to the age of the deer and stuff like that, it's easy to like get it to a point where I think blanket term, if you're inexperienced, you can just say, oh, there's a deer, I'm just going to call at it, and you call and it doesn't command or whatever. You think just deer are deer and they're going to react. But when you think about it deeper, in a general sense, they're not so different than like how humans or mammals would react. Like dogs, humans. Like I always heard that comparison. Like the older a buck gets, you can kind of compare him to an old dog, where they kind of get, they're hurt, a little lazy.
Yeah.
They lay down, they'll get up on the porch and get their water and food and lay back down. But it's like when you really like generalize it and break it down, it's not that complicated.
It's not.
But we make it more complicated.
We do. We really do.
Nice.
I mean, thank God, because otherwise it wouldn't be as fun, first off.
No, it wouldn't be, but you're onto something there, because if you watch 13 and you go through the different phases, we kind of break down like what they're doing in each phase, and then if you couple that with the weather, you can have a very good strategy going out. Couple the maps with the weather, with the 13 different phases, you can have a pretty good strategy to go kill anywhere throughout the season. And I think people, they underestimate the deer, but then they overcomplicate the process.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. But man, it's fun.
It's fun.
It is all fun.
Because I do it every year. Like I get excited. That's why. Like I feel like I'm so excited that I will cloudy my simplistic game plans into being, you guys know that meme from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia where Charlie's got the white and all the strings and he's like
all
pulling his hair out. I kind of end up going from how I'm being right now. I'm like, it's not that complicated. And then here it is, middle October, and I'm look like Charlie on the whiteboard.
Yeah, right.
Well, yeah, and 170-inch whitetail make you think things through a little bit more.
Right.
You're always analyzing and like, man, you don't want to mess that up. So it makes you think a little deeper.
I think it's because humans, we are obviously changing drastically very quickly, where we are getting away from instincts and more towards analytics.
So too much critical thinking to a point.
Deer and turkeys and every other wild animal out there, they're still running on pure instincts, where we look at that and like, man, how amazing. That's so wild and complicated. But in reality, it's just they're running on their instincts that they've evolved to adapt. And we're generally, like, as humans, we're converting more to being like walking computers, where we're super analytical about everything and we kind of lose our instincts. I don't know.
Well, it goes into like what Nick's comment when we had Nick in studio. He said, sometimes you just don't worry about it. Just go hunt and see what happens. Mm-hmm. There's a beauty in that a little bit.
There is a beauty in that, certainly. But to your point, they're going by their instincts. What's changing their instinctual drive or their instinctive movement on any given day? It's generally the weather, right? So if you use your analytics to anticipate those weather fronts and what they'd be doing that time of the year because of the weather, then you can take advantage of that. So the combination of the two, it's really everything put together it creates consistent success.
Yeah, because instincts is like here and now. The analytics is what's going to be soon. You're like almost trying to tell the future a little bit. So
based on history.
Exactly.
Yeah, here we are, back to that.
Well,
Yeah, right.
You know?
that-
It's what it is.
it's legit.
It is legit. Okay, Mark, we kind of be in this kind of a methodical conversational talk, kind of methodical, but then bringing it back down to like just what's going on. We talked a little bit with Stan too, and there were some questions we were asking Stan that I was curious what your answers would be. Like we talked to Stan about, he has 5 gross 200-inch bucks, which is insane. And I love
Stan the man.
Stan the man.
Oh, yeah.
And I just love the way he like talked about it. And then I asked him like, what are some goals? Like, okay, you've done that. You have this big accomplished list of the whitetail hunting. His next was, I'd like to kill a buck. My 6-200 from the ground would be like the one thing. And I know, Mark, I asked you that kind of, and you said, getting new people into hunting. But besides that, like, is there something that you haven't done, like for yourself, checking the box?
Not necessarily, man. I just enjoy. I think as I age, I'm a lot more reflective of the moment and the situation and who I'm with, and it's as much about the moment and the time and watching everybody succeed. I love that.
Yeah.
And that's and that's probably not the answer you're looking for, but that's the honest answer.
Well, I know how to morph it to, I think, get the answer I want. And I do love that answer. That sounds so dumb and aggressive, right?
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry, Mark.
I'm gonna get what I want.
I'm gonna get what I want out
I
of you,
like
Mark.
that answer, but
Try again, Mark. Yeah.
Try again. Okay, take me back before, like, go back in Mark Drury's growth as a big giant buck killer. What was one of those goals that you ended up checking that box through your career?
Certainly to kill a Pope and Young deer was a big deal to me back when I was young.
Yeah.
And I killed my first Pope and Young in the state of Iowa. Terry was filming me. And then I wanted to kill one that grossed Boone.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wanted to kill one that grossed 200, so.
Yeah.
was that when you had a mustache?
Yeah, I've always had a mustache.
Say, when are you bringing that back?
Yeah.
He still got one.
I still got one. I just
to it.
added a gray goatee to it.
Well,
Where's your goatee, Doug?
Yeah.
I'm still on the Mark Drury mustache stage.
That's the evolution.
Yeah, I gotta get up to that point.
Stay tuned. It's coming.
So, sure, I'd love to kill a deer that was over 250 inches, But,
Yeah.
I mean, truth be told, well, who wouldn't know, right?
Right. Yeah.
Who wouldn't? But is that realistic? Probably not. That's
Yeah.
not realistic.
I know. I forced
That'd be
you
a
into giving
freaking
me.
lottery ticket to have one
It'd be insane.
that
But it
big
could
to
happen.
hunt. It could, but it's not overly likely.
Yeah. Because how many gross 200s do you have?
I've killed 4.
See, that's incredible, man. See, and I know it's not always about that. I think that's just
It's
fun
not.
conversation. And I almost felt guilty when I brought it up to Stan because I was like, it just seems like a greedy type question to ask. But it gets brought up in that when we always get into those fun, unanswerable debates of the whitetail goats. And it's like, it always goes to a 200-inch deer. Like, Ross has 3 200-inch deer, and he's our age, and he's averaging one every 5 years. And we're like, man, is he going to keep on this roll? It's just cool,
No, it's awesome.
Well, 200 deer just fascinating.
He may never kill another one, though.
That's right.
It's just weird. You just never know. I went a long time and didn't kill one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, the crazy thing
cool,
about
though.
that is it takes so much to make a 200-inch deer.
It's a miracle.
Yeah, it's a miracle.
Yeah.
So many things have to go into
It's
making that deer.
unbelievable.
Well, so we were talking 1 in 250,000
Yeah, what
or
is
more.
what is the average? Is it 1 in a million? Is it 1 in 100,000? If you added all the deer in the entire country, it might be a 1 in a million. It
Yeah.
probably isn't, but just in the Midwest, which is where the bulk of them come out of.
Yeah.
Not that they can't come out of other states, but they're a touch more likely here because of the dirt and because of the age structure and whatnot. Is it 1 out of 50,000 or 100,000? I don't know. There's no way to, but I'd say it's pretty low odds to see one or have pictures of it, and even lower odds to kill it.
It's fun to speculate at all.
Oh yeah.
I just like that type of conversation because there's really you
There's
don't
no
you don't
right or
know,
wrong.
but it's
Yeah.
fun. I think it's just
It's like the unknown.
it's the unknown.
People love
it's
the
what's
unknown.
fun about it. I think man. One thing I do want to close with, Mark. You're a grandfather now, man. Congratulations.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How's that feel? Woo.
Oh, My heart has been stolen.
Yeah, I bet it has.
Yeah, Mabry is just so awesome. She reminds me a lot of Taylor when she was a child. It reminds me of that period.
Yeah, yeah.
And the coolest thing is, of course, they live in Salt Lake City, but we've been flying out there about once a month. And what I love is when she falls asleep in my arms, and then I don't want to put her in bed or anything. I just hold her.
Yeah.
And I'll get on my back and let her just sleep on my couch, on my chest while I'm on the couch or something. And that's been my favorite so far.
Yeah.
So the other day, I had a shirt similar to this one on, and she was laying there. She fell asleep, and she slept for an hour and 15 minutes, and then she finally starts to wake up, and I pick her up, and her forehead was on one of these buttons. And she had this indentation on her forehead. Taylor was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I had no idea." I
didn't know.
I felt terrible because it was. I'll show you a picture of it, but
Oh, that's hilarious.
I was bad grandpa that day. Taylor was like, the first, anything that was on her body ever came from me, which is an indentation
First
of a button.
blemish.
Yeah.
Good thing it wasn't like a mossy oak embroidered shirt. She had a mossy oak on her forehead forever.
Yeah.
Now that would have been a keeper.
She's like, they owe us royalties for life.
royalties for life.
Here, this is when she's waking up. You can see it there on her forehead. That's pretty funny. Taylor was pissed off.
That's pretty good. And she just looks bummed out about
Well,
it.
Oh,
she's
yeah.
waking up and
Yeah.
crying.
Big old circle.
That's hilarious. That is good.
I was like, it'll come out, okay? It's not permanent.
Give me
I
20
hope.
minutes. I hope.
Yeah.
So the best part of that was she slobbered all over me the whole nap. So then,
Oh yeah.
Nice.
there was
Oh, man.
All
I
this
cannot
slobber on-
imagine.
Nope.
it's so cool.
My
That's
son
cool.
just turned 2. My daughter just turned 4. I can't imagine having grandkids. It's like another level of like, it almost seems impossible.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just like how you're never gonna die, but it's gonna happen eventually. But you don't think about it.
Even like,
Oh, it's just so far away.
quick.
It's time for you to leave.
It's so far. I meant
you've
it
had
as
enough.
as it's so far away.
Okay.
Right now.
I know what you're saying.
That was a bad.
Or is it?
That was a really bad analogy. I'm sorry.
even when she was expecting, it was special. Like, and I don't know, just it's been so heartwarming to see Taylor become a mother and do such a wonderful job. Her and Austin have been fantastic. They're already fantastic parents. But I remember when she was carrying Mabry, like, I wanted to be there when she killed her deer, her first deer while she was expecting. That happened together in Texas. She made a perfect shot, and then we just sat there and cried in the blind together. I mean, it was so
That's
cool
awesome.
because we knew this was our last hunt, potentially, which she killed another one then with a rifle. But we knew this was the last season where the dynamic has what it's always been.
Yes,
Me and
yes.
her hunting together, and we had a phenomenal season last year. She filmed me kill a deer with a rifle. I filmed her kill one with a bow and one with a gun. And we just enjoyed the season because we knew this was it.
Yeah,
Because going
yeah.
forward, Mabry was going to be in the picture, which is cool, you know?
yeah.
But the dynamic of having her in our lives has been quite a blessing.
Yeah, I can only
But thank you
imagine.
for asking.
Yeah, that's a cool thing to bring up too. Like the dynamic changes in a good way,
In a good way,
but
it's a change.
always been your baby girl and you, and now it's your baby girl and another baby girl.
Yeah.
So it's all good change. But I get what you're saying.
It's been cool, 13, I'm proofing them weekly right now, working on the edits with the guys, and it's been cool to see us relive it because we made sure we laid it down. We had the gender reveal in there. We had
Yeah.
that kill with that I'm talking about with her bow, and then her and Austin killed a big mule deer, and that was their first family hunt together, So
Yeah.
we've laid this whole story out through 13, and it's been really cool to watch. I hope people enjoy it. It's
I
pretty
love
neat.
it. Oh, I got a
awesome.
I got a
Yeah,
picture
that's
for you,
awesome.
Mark. Taylor sent this to me last weekend. She said, "Reppin'."
That's awesome.
She showed me that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
That's
like,
awesome.
that's badass.
Yeah, she said reppin'. So I
I'll
sent-
bet that put a smile on your face.
Oh man, I love that. Yeah, and then I sent her a picture of Clyde. Clyde's been looking for
Sweet.
big bucks with me. That's how he
Oh.
uses his binos.
Some days I feel like that.
Yeah, right.
So for people at home, listen. My son's got the bino. He doesn't know where I'm holding it to my eyes, but he holds his to the center of his forehead. So his birthday party's this weekend, and I got him his own little set of camo binos.
Sweet.
And we'll put them by the back window. We just watch rabbits and whatever doe walks through the backyard.
But still, those imprints that you make at that stage in life will be with him till the day he dies.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they're products of their environment, and if they don't get introduced to what we do, they're not going to pick it up. They're not going to do
Right.
it, right?
Yep.
And that's why when Taylor was a baby, we had her in camouflage from day one. I had her out in Easter dresses making turkeys gobble when she was 2 and 3 years old, and I always took her with me, no matter the pain, no matter the drive, no matter what the distance was or how cold it was. I'd bundle her up and we'd go.
Yeah.
I always took, and now look at her. She just wants to hunt constantly, you know.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
they're products of their environment, so you can't give them that environment too early.
For sure.
It's the best message we've had today in this podcast. Like, introduce them or somebody else. I went and did an event last year. We were invited to come to Southern Decatur, the grade school there in Leon.
Mm-hmm.
And Iowa has this incredible program called School of the Wild.
Mm-hmm.
And they started it in Iowa City, and they wanted to get inner city kids introduced to all things outdoors. Now it's branched out well beyond that. And this coming fall, there's going to be 6,000 students across the state of Iowa that are taking their class of School of the Wild. So what happens is school signs up for it. The 5th and 6th graders are going to class in a state park, in the timber the whole week. You're in the woods the whole week. And the curriculum is all clean air, clean water, clean dirt. And they're talking about CRP, timber stand improvement, trapping, hunting, conservation. Like, it is the coolest program I've ever seen. And I got done doing it, and we were the final speaker of the week. We were there on Friday. We had a blast. The kids were so advanced with their questions. And I mean, every hand up the whole time we were there. And I was like, this is the coolest thing I've seen. And this, we need this in our entire country.
Yeah,
For sure.
So I asked the teacher that I was working with there, I said, who's in charge of this? She said, well, Jay Gorsh. You ought to have him on your show.
Yeah.
He'd be awesome.
Okay.
Matt had him on their show, but we can't get this word out to enough people. Now we're trying to take the pattern, the blueprint, and scale it to other states. So we're starting to talk to the right people in different states and see if we can't expand School of the Wild, help with the funding for it, because I was just blown away at how much of an imprint it made on these children at that age. And you got to get them by that age or you're about to lose them.
Right. No, I mean, there was nothing like that when I was in school that
No.
I knew
No.
about. Or
Could
that
you
my school
imagine
did.
Yeah, we
how
need
cool
something
that
like
would have
I'd
been?
be ate up with it. Yeah, because that changes the dynamic big time. If we can get that going across Illinois.
Could you imagine? The state of Oregon has it throughout the entire state. It's state funded. Colorado has a program that's very similar. That's one of the things I've learned. But man, how cool is it? Get them outdoors.
If I was doing it, Illinois should be on the ball with it. I would think. I mean, if they're not, we need to figure it out. But
talk to a local teacher. Tell them to start asking questions. It's all based out of Iowa City at the University of Iowa.
yeah, that'd be awesome. It'd be
That's
cool to
really
do that.
cool.
I remember watching that episode. You guys were making up.
Perry was screeching.
Yeah, Perry was doing the owl calls and stuff,
Yeah.
which is fun for the kids to like see that. You know,
It
It's-
was a blast.
Yeah.
And I had a bunch of trail cameras and Tacticams
Grunt tubes
and
and
hats
stuff,
and
yeah.
grunt tubes and T-shirts, and I probably gave $5,000 or $10,000 worth of gear away that day, and I was like, I wasn't sure what I was going to go into, so I thought, they're not going to ask questions. If I give something away, they'll ask questions. Well,
Yeah.
I was like, anybody got any questions? Every hand went up. So I was like, wow. I didn't bring enough gifts, but I made sure everybody got something.
something.
You know?
Yeah. Well,
It
they
was-
need a
it
guy
was
with a
cool.
neck tattoo to say that like your future could still be okay. I'll come out and talk.
Yeah.
You gotta hide in the back while we all talk.
It's like my mom's sad, but I'm doing all right
Yeah.
because of hunting.
Yeah.
It led me astray.
Right.
Right on the right path. I'm
But-
fine.
Imagine where I'd be without hunting.
Yeah.
Look at me now.
Yeah.
So
I think it'd be cool if you had those guys on. I mean, just like
I'd
I
love
said,
to.
Matt and Tim had Jay on, and we can't raise enough awareness about it. We had it in deer season 23. We're putting it on 13 this summer. The message is important, and there's no downside to this. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
Nobody's going to say, "Oh, that's terrible." You know, these kids are learning about Earth and how to keep it clean and how to treat it right and how to be great stewards of the land. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, especially having kids. It's like, yeah, I want my kids to, that'd be great for them, you know, to have that. But yeah, for sure, if we can line that up and get them on and
Could you imagine a solid week in mid-October? And it's always in mid-October, so the leaves are
beautiful
changing, and you're in the woods the whole week at school. It'd be the best week of the year.
Oh yeah.
that would be awesome.
yeah, we didn't have
Doing great.
anything close to that.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's a great program. Yeah, we need to do something. If we can get in line with those guys, and I don't know, I'd be involved, but they'd probably be easy.
Yeah, you gotta stay in the back.
Yeah, no, that'd be fun.
Well, maybe you could be a guest
tattoos.
speaker at one of the close schools, you know, and
Yeah.
you're not that far from Iowa here, really.
Yeah, no, Iowa City's an hour.
No, not at all.
Hour
Yeah,
and a
but there's
half.
6,000 students this fall that's going to go through it. So
Wow.
It's pretty cool.
biggest year they've ever had.
Yeah,
That's
if we
crazy.
can get involved, I think for sure.
Yeah, we for sure
can all
do
do
it.
something. Yeah, definitely.
It's only an hour and a half from you, and about it's like a little over 2 for me.
Yeah,
So
yeah, we could do
it'd be awesome.
anything like that. Be easy.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, Mark,
cool.
That'd be
what,
sweet.
what should we close with? What did we talk about that you're like, we need to talk about this?
You know, we just did with school a while. I mean,
Okay.
I'm glad it led to that path.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I always enjoy visiting with you guys. You're awesome. And we haven't talked about Tim and Matt yet.
Oh yeah, we got to take a second to talk about Tim and Matt. If they were here, we'd have an intervention,
Oh,
but they're not here,
Is that bad?
so we can say whatever we want.
drugs? No.
No, definitely not drugs. I don't think Tim's gonna be.
Terry and I just recorded there on Monday. We did a trip down memory lane, telling old stories and kind of the history and
Yeah.
stuff, and we had a good time. But I was thinking about you while we were filming it because you guys go back and forth, and I think it's fun.
It's healthy community stuff. Well, they started saying their show was not your favorite podcast because you said we were your favorite podcast.
Yes, trust me, I'm aware.
So I'm sure you heard about it. But I mean, let's be honest, Mark.
Yeah.
We're way cooler. They're cool, but we're pretty cool.
I did both the same week. I'm no longer claiming favorites.
Oh, come on. You always
This is
gotta have
not.
a favorite.
This is turning around on me.
Yeah. What?
Listen, Matt's cool. Tim's pretty cool, but we're super cool.
There you go.
No,
We're the coolest.
Levels are cool.
those guys are great. I do like that. I enjoy hanging out with those guys and the podcast. I did a great podcast with Tim and Matt for Deercast, and I think Matt is refreshing. Well, they're both refreshing, but the topic we talked about with Matt was setting realistic hunting goals. And he's like, you know, Mark's my uncle, Terry's my dad. Like everyone thinks that I should just be this like 200-inch slayer. He goes, I'm just hustling to do what I can do on my own places. I'm like, it's cool that he like acknowledges like that, like he's honest about I'm just learning, and where he could easily lean into this like entitled like Hunter Biden vibe. That took a dark turn.
Cocaine and hookers at the studio.
Yes, and he doesn't.
He doesn't do that.
He could easily.
So,
Yeah, I mean, sure. Yeah.
I hope Matt loves that one.
Just start calling him Hunter.
I'm not gonna do
boy.
that.
Jeez.
Yeah, no, I don't want that. That was on the fly. I didn't mean to make that analogy.
Can we even talk
My bad,
about?
my bad.
Can we even talk about Hunter Biden? Is the DOJ going to sweep in here and clean it?
They
clean the
might.
house?
I don't think the DOJ is listening.
someone is probably.
They might.
The CIA might. But I don't think the DOJ is going to do any of the sweeping either. I think it'd probably be, suicide from the back of the head.
Oh,
kinda
that type of thing.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Man,
right.
you've been really dark this episode.
Jacob, you feeling
Yeah,
okay?
you're right.
Hey, I had a long drive down here, guys. Did a lot of soul searching.
Jacob's background, you were on a politics podcast
Yeah.
before Victory Drive.
Right. It's a deep, dark hole into politics. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh man, I'm
Holy
telling
crap.
you, who'd want to go down it anymore?
I don't know.
I did
man.
for like
Disastrous.
for like a year, and I wanted to.
You did a year of that podcast?
Yeah, a little over, and I was just like, man, this is taking a toll on my mental health. I need to back away from this. Once you get down the hole and you start realizing a bunch of stuff, you're like, nah, I can't do anything anyways. I want to
Right? You feel helpless. Like it's so
Yeah.
far removed from what our founders
Right.
envisioned. Like, come on.
Almost quite the opposite.
These people are in their mid 70s to, turning 90, and they're still in Congress. Like this is
Well, who was the guy that just
This is
did that
insane.
interview and just froze mid-interview?
Mitch McConnell.
Yeah. He's just talking, and then he's just. Well,
It's
that
'cause-
guy needs to be on the couch enjoying retirement, man.
It's because they're not in charge.
Well, they're not in charge.
They're not
right?
in charge.
They're not in charge.
They're just holding up a seat. You know
But
what I mean?
even though I don't like Biden, and take that for whoever's listening, whatever, I don't care. But you watch the guy, and you're like, it's kind of unfair to this old man.
Oh yeah.
It's like sit that guy down. He's putting him on bikes and shit. He's like falling over. You know what I mean? His son's leaving coke in the White House. Like, we gotta.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, no, let's button this up.
Allegedly.
That scene of Mitch McConnell when he freezes up, his face just kind of goes limp. He clearly had some episode.
He had a
right?
stroke or something.
Yeah,
or
it looked
whatever.
like a stroke, and he just lost all control, and he just stand there frozen. And I'm not making fun of Mitch McConnell here, but I saw this meme this morning. I was laying in bed, and this guy put a meme together, and it said, it was like me, these gummies never bother me. and then he put the picture of Mitch in, and he goes, me, 30 minutes later after taking gummies. I started laughing. I was like, I'm not making fun of Mitch McConnell.
I know you're not, yeah.
But
the meme was.
The internet is
meme was
undefeated.
they win every time. I was like, it made me laugh. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm laughing. And I'm like, damn, that was creative.
It's just, it's weird. But, to turn that make to a relative, it's like that affects our type of people because, hunting can be political because of state legislature and all this bullshit.
And that's why we
It can.
That's why
it's being more so, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's why we end up talking about it on Victory Drive quite a bit. Just inherently just within conversation, when you're talking about guns and hunting, it just leads into politics because.
Well, it's the one thing where we have. I didn't mean to cut you off, but
you're good.
I just want to say this real quick. It's the one we don't really talk politics too much on WCB,
Right.
but when we talked about Victory Drive, I'm like fair game because it's more. It's kind of hand in hand, gun laws and politics and all that stuff.
Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And they're winning their stupid war they're doing with the media about painting us in a negative light consistently. Because historically, granted, the American population, very low percentage actually hunted. Excuse me. However, it was in favor with the bulk of the country. Like, 75, 80% of the people were favorable to hunting. They understood what it meant. I saw the other day this report where in the age group of like 18 to 40, it had dropped precipitously, right? And now all of a sudden it was only 60%. So it came down drastically from what it's historically been. And I'm like, well, there you go. There's fewer and fewer people hunting. They're telling people guns are bad, hunters are bad, and they're starting to win that media war. And that's what they do through time. They erode the support. And then all of a sudden, there is no support for us, and they start taking your rights and laws and your guns away and everything else. So that was the first time I'd ever, because in the past I'm always like, well, they can say what they want, There's a lot of hunters and a lot of support for it. And it was the first time I saw where they show that it's waning.
Well, that's where that program that schools
exactly.
comes back
That's what I
around.
mean.
sure.
There's no negative to it.
It goes from the new slang and all that stuff. It's like you see some of those kids, it's like they don't need to go outside. They're content with everything they got. Like, can you imagine? It'd be hard to want to leave your iPads and all the stuff that's just with you from birth, pretty much. Like, there's an iPad and all these kids' faces, and everyone's saying busing and no cap, and nobody wants to go outside and actually hunt and fish
dead
and
ass.
do dead ass. But I can kind of see it's. If you were a kid that didn't have exposure to it before the class, I'm not going outside.
Well,
It might be easy to fall into that, I guess. I don't know.
Well, and being outside isn't 100% of the time comfortable. Like, there's bugs and there's heat and then there's cold and all this other stuff. You're not protected from the elements when you're inside than you are. It's not like a easy task to get certain kids outside.
But we need to get them outside. That's what's wrong with them, right?
Yeah.
Like they call them soy boys or whatever, they're just not getting enough sunshine. They're not getting enough exercise. They're not getting enough exposure to the elements. Like when I was a kid, I went in the door from school and out the back door, regardless of the weather. I couldn't wait to get outside, play ball in the summer or go in the woods or whatever. Like whatever the elements were, it didn't matter because the goal was, but you didn't have the cell phone. You didn't have other things to keep you preoccupied. Now, doors open, they go in. You don't see anybody on streets anymore, man. They're in their homes.
It was a punishment to be in the house.
Yes, it was.
Yes, yep.
That's a good point.
That's a great point. A great point. Well, walk through, a mall or a Walmart or a Target or wherever you're shopping, and you can just see them, and you're like, what are you doing? You're in your pajamas at 6 p.m. and your hair is unkept. You look like you haven't had any vitamin D in your entire life.
Yeah.
You know, your face looks like my legs. You know,
I was like, yeah, when I was a kid, you'd see kids on bikes, groups of kids on bikes. And now
Everywhere.
it's like, you don't, like, no kids ride BMX that I see anymore.
they're not outside. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's frightening what's going on.
Well, it's,
Sad.
it's like you said. What would you give, like 5 or 6 years old? You want to get them in there early.
Fifth and sixth grade.
Okay,
That's
there
the
you
tail
go.
end of it.
Yeah.
Tail end of it. Yeah.
So it's that just goes back to that. If the earlier you get them outside,
The
and just
better.
enjoying the outdoors, then they're just going to grow up like that.
That's the environment.
Yep.
If your house is the environment, then that's your environment. That's what you learn. You know,
Yep.
they're scared to go outside.
Yeah.
You know, and they're dazed and just that blank look. And
Yeah.
it's like, man, it's scary.
I got to think, though, for the kids that do live an outdoor lifestyle compared to like what could be completely opposite, it's like that's got to be an attractive trait for those. Like, I'm going to instill this outdoor
Oh,
lifestyle.
they're going
in
to
my
be
son.
killers. They're going to be great at life.
Yeah.
Goes back to what we talked about, you know, the performers in all facets of life.
Yeah.
Those kids are out hunting and understanding our environment and, you know, knowing the seriousness of going out and taking an animal's life. Like, they're going to be able to conquer anything in life.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Versus that kid that's in his house playing a video game, killing people or whatever zombies or whatever in the video game. So, yeah, you're correct in that.
It's a fun conversation. It could go on forever.
Yeah, it could.
Mark, I do appreciate you coming in and
Anytime.
getting a full-blown WCB podcast. We talked about everything and then nothing all in the same episode. That's what makes it fun, though. That's what makes podcasting fun, is you just go into it, and where it goes, that's where you go with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate you guys having me. It's always fun visiting with you. A
We'd
lot
love
of
to have
fun.
you.
And Matt, Tim, you do a great job.
Yeah, sorry about the Hunter Biden thing. It was pretty funny, though. You got to admit.
It is pretty
They're
good.
gonna love that one.
I'll get a call. Kurt, we need to come down to the office. For what?
For what? Huh?
I was just down there. No, we need to talk. Okay, I'll call Mark. Mark, everything all right?
He doesn't answer.
Send you a voicemail. He did. Yeah, I called Taylor. I'm like, hey, have you talked to your dad? Oh, I'm busy with the baby. Baby's crying. I gotta go.
Oh, baby's crying.
Picture Mabry in a 100% Wild podcast.
Oh, yeah. I'm getting so much infant clothes
Oh,
made
boy.
and just shipping her a crate. That would be funny.
You're winning the game there, bud.
It's a fun battle.
It's
not
fun.
really a battle. It's all love. We're all the same family. Doug, what do you got? What's going on in your life? What are you thinking?
I'm doing great. Thanks for coming, Mark. And hopefully bring that mustache back someday.
Yeah, you got it, man. If I kill one over 250, the goatee will go away, and I'll go full handlebar, right there.
Wow,
There it is.
I
Full
like that.
handlebars, nice.
250 is a stretch.
That's a stretch.
You
I'm
didn't
gonna
want
go
to.
release a deer.
We're all looking at 150s. Mark said 250.
Yeah, right.
Well, he asked if I had a
You could have
plateau. I'm like,
went
sure.
down. You could have went down a little bit.
I'd like to
for
kill a
me.
250. So
You settled on 250.
Yeah, I'll do 250. 210.
how about my biggest ever? Something over whatever my largest was.
That's a good bet.
Oh,
what's your
there you go.
biggest?
There
Okay,
you
can we
go.
get another shake on that one?
What's
Yeah.
your biggest ever?
217 in a few
I'll
days.
take that.
Okay,
Nice.
down.
So Doug's shaving his stash if you kill your biggest buck ever.
What?
What? That's what I heard.
Yeah, yours comes off,
Yeah.
and then I go.
Yeah, you guys are both shaving.
No,
That's what I heard.
no. We already shook. No take backs.
But okay, you keep the mustache, but you do let a goatee grow in.
That's fair.
That's fair.
That's a good bet.
You
My
swap-
goatee
swap.
goes away
For a year?
and yours comes in.
Or how
No,
long?
not a year. No, I can't do that.
A
Tracy.
season,
It-
a full
it-
season,
it'll
whatever
take-
the rest of the season is.
The following turkey season.
There you go.
Okay, so if you
Oh,
it
okay.
occurs in the fall, then you wear it through turkey.
All right.
Yeah,
I was gonna say Iowa Deer Classic, but that's better. Turkey season.
yeah, turkey season.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a good
Yeah.
bet.
Yeah,
That's a gentleman's handshake bet. Right
that's
there.
a fun bet.
Nick Morris would sign off on that one.
Yeah, yeah.
He's our standard. He's our
He would be
notary.
the YouTube comments. What a dumb bet.
Yeah. Stupid bet. Doug sucks. Jacob, what do you got?
Nothing. I mean, it was great meeting you, Mark.
Well, great to meet you. You got a great voice
Dang.
too.
Wow,
You
thanks.
do.
He fits the firearm vibe, doesn't he?
He does.
My brother always said I have a face for radio, so
Well,
there I am.
it's good. He's got a great voice.
Yeah. He's got the best military tactical firearm vibe
He does. It's almost that, we just lost a great, iconic member of the media in Jim Scouten. He always had that voice that when it came on, every head in the room turned and listened to him. And his voice is similar to that.
If Jacob's going to yell at you, you're going to listen.
Yeah. I saw that come through on social media this week. The Outdoor Channel had shared it, and that brought a tear to my eye, because I'd watched him my whole life.
Yeah.
He was doing TV before Terry and I even started.
He's an icon. Yeah.
He's iconic. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good point. You do have a good voice, Jacob.
He does.
Dang, you guys are so sweet. This is so nice. I'm so glad I came today.
You've been very dark on the podcast, but
Yeah.
Yeah, you were dark in this one, but we're also a little scared of you. So,
It makes sense.
We'll let it slide.
Austin, what do you got, brother?
It's great having you in studio, Mark. Always good to see you. Can't wait to see what you guys lay down this fall.
Likewise.
It's always fun to sit back and watch. So good luck out there.
I'm going to make a prediction.
Okay.
Of the working class bow hunter crew, 2 of you are going to kill your largest deer of your life this fall.
Wow.
I like that.
I do like that.
I just killed my
I shook
biggest
his
deer.
hand, so I'm
That's
probably
very
one of them.
doable, and I think it's coming. I think
just-
it's coming.
I just
Big
killed my-
deer.
I'll take that. That's good.
Austin's going to be one of them.
Oh yeah.
I like this even better.
Man, this is looking good. Who's the other
I
one?
shook your hand.
Eric's going to be the other one.
Oh my
That's my
god.
prediction.
He's got a new baby. His
does.
time's going to be limited, but it could be. It
Mark's
could be.
turning us upside down here. I like this.
Wow, okay. I'm going to prove that one wrong.
Yeah, I am too.
I hope Eric does kill a super giant. He's due, man. He's
That would
due
be
to kill
awesome.
the biggest.
I
Yep.
don't.
There's
And-
my prediction for the
Okay.
season.
And I'd
like
take
it.
I'd take my biggest. That'd be fine with me.
Yeah, Eric is due. This is Eric's
Yep.
year. It's got to be. He's gone. He's killed bucks, but he
So I
needs-
kind of went with a do factor, and I kind of went with
Yeah.
consistency.
You're rolling the dice a little bit. Hey, Eric's gonna do it. We got his back this year, man. He's gonna be
Wow.
busy, but
I turned my back on you, didn't
You
I?
did.
Just like that.
That hurt a little bit.
Just stabbed you right in the back.
Yeah.
I love this thing that's going on right here, right now. This is fun.
I love
The
that.
handshake
put-
didn't feel as good.
I'm putting you guys next to each other every episode from now on,
Yeah, exactly.
just to watch this go from friendly to just ill-ridden.
I hate my Drury.
Bizarre bets every year.
Yeah, bizarre bets.
They get
I-
wilder and wilder.
Every ep we check back in. Mark Drury. Yeah, Mark.
He just texted me a bunch of mean stuff.
All right. Thank you so much, Mark. Appreciate you, man.
What a blast. You guys are the best.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate you guys. You know what to do. Go shoot your bow. We love you. Peace.